So, welcome to this explainer. I am honestly so thrilled you're here today because we are looking at a concept that is truly fascinating and honestly incredibly practical. We're going to explore this brilliantly simple, nature-based tool designed to help us actually accept the inevitable changes in our lives. It's called the Sky of Impermanence. Now, if you've ever felt completely stuck or maybe overwhelmed by a really heavy emotion like deep grief or career burnout, or if you are just plain exhausted from trying to micromanage every unpredictable detail of your life, well, this explainer is built exactly for you. So take a breath, settle in, and let's explore a totally new way to process change.
What if this difficult phase is just a moving cloud? Seriously, let that question sink in for a second. It completely shifts your perspective, doesn't it? I mean, when we're right in the middle of a massive struggle, it genuinely feels like the whole sky has just turned pitch black permanently. It feels like that storm is literally who we are now. But the source material we're looking at today challenges us to reframe that entire narrative. It asks us to consider that this heavy, dark thing you're experiencing, it isn't the sky itself, but just something temporarily passing through it. It's the weather, not the atmosphere.
All right, let's jump right into section 1, the illusion of permanence.
Okay, let's dive into this by unpacking our very first core concept. To understand why we get so intensely stressed out by change, we really have to look at our own psychological wiring first and see how it completely clashes with the world around us. As humans, we literally demand permanence from totally temporary experiences. We desperately want the good times to just freeze and stay exactly as they are forever. And we kind of panic when our circumstances or our relationships or even our bodies start to shift. But nature teaches us the exact opposite. Just think about it. Seasons change, rivers carve entirely new paths, skies shift, and clouds dissolve. Everything in the natural world operates on this cycle of continuous renewal. The friction, the real deep pain we feel, comes directly from that tension between our rigid human expectations and nature's constant, inevitable transformation.
Moving on to section 2, why we watch the sky.
So this brings us to the actual practice. We've established the philosophical problem, right? So let's move forward and see how this builds into a very tangible psychological solution. And to be clear, this isn't just about daydreaming on a picnic blanket. It's a highly intentional mindfulness exercise. Deliberately observing the sky achieves something absolutely crucial for our mental health. First off, it actively calms that endless loop of overthinking. It increases our emotional acceptance, and it drastically reduces our stubborn attachment to things staying the exact same. By quietly observing the vastness right above you, your mind slowly learns a critical lesson. And actually, what's even more important is that it teaches your nervous system that it is profoundly safe to let experiences just move through you. You begin to physically realize, hey, I don't have to fight every single feeling. You can just let it pass, exactly like watching the weather roll in and roll right back out. Which brings us to section 3, the cloud observation practice. Let's look at exactly how to do this. We are going to walk through the actual mechanics of the practice. And I'm going to slow down a little bit here because the pacing of this exercise is entirely the point. Step 1 is preparation. You want to choose a spot where you have a really clear view of an open sky, a balcony, a park bench, or literally just looking out the window from your office desk. Sit down, intentionally put your phone away, and take 3 slow, grounding breaths. In fact, let's take one of those slow breaths together right now. Breathe in and out. Okay. Step 2, observe without analyzing. You just watch. And step 3 is to actively notice the impermanence. Consciously remind yourself that no shape up there stays forever. I mean, even the darkest, most aggressive storms eventually run out of energy and move on.
So while you're looking up, what exactly are you looking for? Well, notice the subtle movement. Watch those changing shapes and the fading edges of the clouds as they slowly pull apart and reform. Pay close attention to the light, the shifting shadows, those beautiful empty blue spaces between the clouds and the silent transitions. The absolute key here is to simply observe. Don't go searching for some immediate deep meaning or try to force a profound revelation. Just let the visuals wash over you. Give your brain full permission to just witness something without feeling the need to solve it.
Now, what's really interesting here is the actual challenge this presents. This is often called the silent awareness practice. And as you sit there trying to just observe, well, you're quickly going to notice your brain rebelling. Your monkey mind will desperately want to define the shapes. It's going to want to hold on to a specific image or create a whole story, thinking things like, oh, that one looks exactly like a dog, or that cloud definitely looks like a face. It is incredibly natural for our human brains to seek out recognizable patterns. So when that happens, and it will, just gently acknowledge what your mind is doing and softly return your focus to simple observation. No interpretation, no judgment, just movement.
Okay, section 4, asking the hard questions. Once you've really grounded yourself in the physical reality of that shifting sky, it's time to shift the metaphor. We're moving from looking outward at the clouds to looking inward at our own minds. Ask yourself, what am I trying way too hard to hold on to? Just let that sit for a moment. Think about a cloud that's already dissolving into the atmosphere. What in your own life is trying to shift naturally, but you are just gripping it with white knuckles? Is it a relationship that's honestly run its course? A career path that just doesn't fit anymore? Or maybe a version of yourself that you've outgrown? Try to pinpoint exactly what you are resisting. Here is another incredibly powerful reflection. Which emotion feels totally permanent right now, but might actually just be passing through? We have this terrible, almost universal habit of attaching our core identity to our temporary feelings, right? We don't say, I am experiencing sadness right now. We say, I am sad. We merge our entire being with a fleeting emotional state. But think back to the sky. The sky is not the storm. Can you allow heavy emotions to pass through your awareness without permanently attaching your whole identity to them? Because they really are just weather. Think about this for a second. What would happen if you trusted life's transitions more? What if uncertainty isn't this terrifying thing to run from, but is actually a required, beautiful part of your own personal transformation? Just consider the sheer amount of energy you spend swimming upstream every single day. What if you stopped fighting the current? Trusting transitions basically means accepting that you don't need to know the final destination just to take the very next step. I want to pause on this deeper insight from our source material because it honestly hits the nail on the head. Holding too tightly creates emotional exhaustion. You know that deep, in-your-bones fatigue you feel at the end of the day? That lingering burnout? A massive portion of that comes from the sheer energetic cost of trying to force temporary things to be permanent. It takes an incredible, unbelievable amount of mental energy to try and freeze time. Transformation is entirely natural. It's resisting it that leaves us so utterly exhausted. And finally, section 5, embracing your natural rhythm. So, how do we wrap this up and actually apply it? Let's try to integrate these realizations into your daily life with a couple of closing reflections. I want you to mentally fill in the blank to this statement. What I need to stop holding so tightly is. And be brutally honest with yourself here. Is it a specific expectation of how your life was supposed to look by a certain age? Is it an old grudge you're dragging around? Name it quietly to yourself right now. Because acknowledging it, that is the very first step to finally releasing that grip.
Now, let's acknowledge the progress you are already making, even if it feels incredibly small right now. The change I am slowly accepting is. Notice how gentle and empowering that phrasing is? It's not about achieving instant perfection or waking up completely enlightened tomorrow morning. It's about slowly accepting the natural shifts that are already happening within you and around you. Give yourself the grace and the patience required for real growth. Just like the clouds slowly moving across the horizon, sometimes the most profound changes happen at a pace so slow they're almost imperceptible in the moment. Consider this deeply provocative question as we begin to sign off today. What identity are you slowly outgrowing? Just as a cloud gathers, shifts, and eventually disperses into something entirely new, your sense of self is absolutely allowed to evolve. Outgrowing who you used to be isn't a failure, guys. It's a sign of health. You do not have to be the exact same person you were 5 years ago, or honestly, even 5 months ago. You are allowed to take up new space in the sky. Let's conclude with this final, beautiful insight from the text. Clouds do not fear becoming unrecognizable. They trust movement. Real healing and growth begin the exact moment we realize we were never meant to stay the same forever. Trust the natural flow of your life. So the very next time you feel overwhelmed by change, I want you to step outside, take a deep breath, and just look up. Trust the movement. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope you take this powerful, calming mindset into the rest of your week.